Okay, this is for people who want to get serious about fixing any kind of machinery, coffee machinery, or any kind of like espresso. Okay, I've seen people use these. I call them um, trick screwdrivers because they're not really screwdrivers. The problem with them is they're like right now I'm searching for the flat tip, which I notice I don't have one. Anyway, so one of the problems is they're too short. Okay, you don't have any leverage. Also, if the barrel is narrow, like some, well, this one's not too bad, and as you notice, this one's longer. But the problem here is, in order for you to use this barrel has to be a certain thickness, and you can't get in tight spots, and the tip is actually too small. So in the case of the shower screen, you need something like this where you can get in a narrow space, plus you have leverage. Okay, it's even better if you even have a longer one, right? Then you can get a lot of leverage. Okay, now the problem with this is, granted, you can twist these and you can offset them where you can get more torque, but in actuality the tips tend to bend and destroy the screw, because these aren't hardened tips unless you get a real good quality one. But if you're going to spend the money to get a good quality trick set, you might also spend, like, even on a Stanley, which is like $3, you know, you can get a better one. You can get a better one and pay a little bit more money, get a hardened steel tip. And do avoid these. These are not meant to, these are precision drivers. These are meant not to pry things out. They're meant for working on glasses and smaller items, okay? So go ahead and spend a couple bucks, because I tell you what, this costs more than this. I know this is like $250. So, you know, and you come across, I come across a lot of screwdrivers. As you can see, they're all different. I got a lot of Stanleys, and I got Husky here. This is a higher quality one. You need the long ones because a lot of times you need to reach in deep inside the machine, and you need this. This is a single, a number 1 Phillips. You need the number 2 Phillips and then the number 3 Phillips, because the number 3 goes for the heavier machines. Okay. There's even a larger one than this. Okay? Usually find those in an impact wrench. But the smaller spades, standard spades, you need them in different sizes because they got to go into different holes. Okay, and then of course the fine stuff is the precision. And again, this is not meant for prying. Okay. Again, the problem with this is the head is bigger. And if I need to get in a real narrow space like this one can get into the, for example, this can get into, both of these can get into the shower screen. They're narrow enough, and they give me enough leverage. Okay. Now, you also need a stubby, because this won't fit under the group. The stubby usually is about this big. It's a short handle with a real short blade, usually about 2 inches. Okay. So you need both the flat tip and the Phillips head. Okay, you're gonna need a set of metric Allens, preferably the one with the ball end. Okay, because that lets you get in at an angle. Okay, you're gonna need a full set of metrics all the way down to a number 7. Box and open. Okay, preferably offset, not flat. Okay, like this is flat, but the advantage of this is it's got a rotating head. Okay, now you're gonna need a 7. There's a lot of heads, bolts that are real tiny. 8, 10, 11, don't normally see a 12, but I've come across 12 nuts on chimbalis, okay? 13, 14. A lot of times when you're cracking two nuts together, a lot of times one is a 13, the next one's a 14, okay? Hardly any 15s or 16s every once in a while, but 15s and 16s hardly. It's definitely 17, and 18 is an oddball, but I have come across barrel nuts that are 18. Very, very few, but I have come across it. So if you do have an 18 in the set, don't throw it away. Definitely 19, sometimes 20, not that often, but definitely the 21 and the 22. 21 and 22. Now, my 22 is narrowed down for that special wrench I was talking about to go in the group head, in between the coil and the group head, because it's real narrow. So I took this is relatively cheap. It's a knockoff brand, Glendor, 22 and 19, which is very common. I use this a lot, okay? So what I did was I ground it down, and including the 19, because there's a spot in the M50s that 19 needs to be narrow too. So this was a real good, I took off about 3 millimeter. So you can see. Anyway, this is real good for removing the groove barrel valve. And every once in a while, the safety valve, I think it's a 24 open end, and this is narrowed down too. I forgot why, but I did narrow this one down, but it's the same brand as this one. Okay. A lot of times you need doubles, like you need 11s. You need a second 11, because sometimes if you got to crack a nut open. Now you may not need it if you have an SAE set, and an SAE set, if you have the 7/16, which I believe is a 14. Well, actually it's smaller than a 13, so it's closer to a 12, but it works on an 11. So a lot of times if you have an SAE set, some of the wrenches that are similar to the metrics, go ahead and put that in, because a lot of times if you need two wrenches to crack double nuts or a lock nut, that helps work. Okay, a brush, any kind of paint brush, 1 inch, or this is a 1 inch. This is a 1 inch. This is a 2 inch. Anyway, it's good for cleaning off the coffee grounds. Like I said, a set of Allen. Now the sockets, you don't really need that many sockets, because there's not that many places where you can use a socket. Now, granted, you can't use it on a group head, but generally speaking, it's better if you use one of these, because you have more control. Now I have specialized tools that I made in my time as a technician, and here's one of them. I believe this takes off the safety valve where I can't get in, because I can't get on top of well, it has a big head, see? So the only way to get in is to go through the side and then drop down on the nut. And so that's what this is for. I ground off it just right to fit into that slot where I can remove the part. And then this is for M50 and 49. I believe it's the anti-eddy valve. This will go right on top of it, and it's cocked at an angle because I couldn't turn the wrench. So I ground down this part to make it more narrow so I could get in there. And then plus it's rounded off. The edges were the sides were too thick, so I just ground it down enough to fit it right over the valve, and then I could take it out that way. Other than that, This is really handy for scraping dried coffee grounds off the plates or inside things, and it's stuck and dried. So you just use this to scrape off the grounds. A rag, always have a rag handy, and then you need your cleaning, urn cleaning powder to remove coffee stains, and then brushes. You get all the brushes, the brass wire brushes, the stainless steel wire brushes or steel brushes. They're good for cleaning out things and scrubbing off the lime deposits and stuff like that. Okay, so that will get you started. If you get a full set, great. If not, there's a few tools you can get away with: a 19, a 14, 13, 10, 8. Definitely a brush, and definitely a good set of screwdrivers, Phillips and metric. And like the Stanley has an all-in-one kit with something like 17 screwdrivers. That's a good one. You need a flat tip, and you need a stubby. I don't have the stubby here, but the stubby is a short one. You always get both the Phillips and the regular flat blade. Okay, number 1 all the way up to number 3. Okay, you use a lot of number 1s and a number 2 Phillips, a lot of those. Okay, and then also it'd be nice to have an Allen set with the driver handle. Okay, but these work fine. Okay, you make sure you have the ball tip. Okay, so that will get you started.